Pirate I was dug up by Robin, Chapter 601 to 620. Chapter 601 The Vibrating Marineg 6 Branch. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Military 6 branch base, conference room. Marine generals, headed by Vice Admiral Crane, had a lively discussion on today's major events. Learning the significance and benefits behind Waesung's operation from the base chief Suru Vice Admiral. All the branch base generals and schools present were excited. The faces, old or young, are all filled with extreme excitement. Even many Marine generals took the initiative to ask for their orders, wanting to go to the battlefield of the Western North Blue region to participate in the war. The mood of the people at the venue gradually became high. Just then. Abrupt mutation. The piercing alarm sounded suddenly. It spread all over the 6 branch bases in an instant. What's the matter? This is what happened to the base level alert. Could it be that someone trespassed? No, even if there were trespassers, I'm afraid it wouldn't be necessary. The base generals in the conference room shouted in shock. Don't panic, all calm down. Alternate Admiral Guillaume's majestic squeak sounded. Not long after, there was a sudden sound of hurried footsteps outside the conference room door. A base correspondent Navy hurriedly approached. What the hell is this alarm about? A Marine Rear Admiral asked anxiously. Yes, reports Suru Vice Admiral, Mr. Rear Admiral, is a Sea King. Just now, a super large Sea King is approaching us 6. Quote. The correspondent, Hai Bing, held back his panic and shouted and reported. What did you say? Aquaman class. When they learned the reason why the highest alarm sounded, all the Marine generals in the field were dumbfounded. I thought it was an intruder, or some pirates came to the door on their own initiative. And, you told me that it was just the Sea Kings. Signal soldiers, what exactly is going on, and how did the Sea Kings come to our base? Super large Sea Kings generally live in and do not come to the sea easily. How big are you talking about? The Marines asked again and again. Reporting to the officers, the specific reason is still, during the investigation, the head of the Sea King is the size of a mountain, and it is estimated that its body hidden under the sea is at least several thousand meters. Class, it is indeed a super large Sea King. The correspondent Marine replied loudly. Wow. Hearing the exaggerated level of thousands of meters, the huge conference room was instantly occupied by a shocking uproar. Under normal circumstances, a Sea King class of hundreds of meters is scary enough to easily swallow a warship. It is unimaginable how terrifying a deep-sea beast with a body size of several thousand meters is. If the real one launches an attack on their base, the consequences are absolutely disastrous. A single collision can destroy their iron-clad defensive walls. One bite, I am afraid that half of the base will become the belly Chinese food of the Sea Kings. In the worst case, the entire 6 branch bases will sink and become history. Thinking of these terrifying consequences, the faces of the branch generals in the field all turned pale, and anxiety and fear occupied their whole hearts. The only 2 in the field remained calm. Naturally only Suru and alternate Admiral Mamasagi Gion who were Vice Admiral of the headquarters. Sister He, it's impossible for the super large Sea Kings to come to our side for no reason, don't you say? Gion thought of the scene when Luo Lin brought Sol back a week ago, and couldn't help but widen her beautiful eyes and open her small mouth into a shape. Ah! Suru folded his hands against his smooth chin, his silver teeth nibbled involuntarily. That idiot. Suru whispers. 3 dissatisfaction between the words, and the remaining 7 points are joy. Near. Tina, who was also in panic, heard the conversation between Gion and Suru, and couldn't help but be stunned. Next second. Tina also responded. So the panic on Chao's face was no longer, and the widened beautiful eyes were full of helplessness. Suru Vice Admiral, sirs. There was another anxious cry from the corridor outside the conference room. It's just that compared to the previous person, the panic in this shout is no longer, there is only joy and excitement. Soldier, What's the matter with you? A colonel grabbed the excited communicator and asked in dissatisfaction. At this critical moment of life and death, he is still joking, which is really outrageous. Could it be that the Sea Kings outside have left? A female lieutenant colonel conjectured in surprise. No, sirs, the Sea Kings are still outside. The communications seamen, who were running out of breath, waved their hands again and again. Then why are you so happy? The colonel, who was clutching his collar, glared sharply. It's a hero. Our hero of Marine, Mr. Roland is here. The communication navy took a deep breath, shouted with all his strength, and told everyone in the room the exciting news. What did you say? The huge conference room was once again filled with an uproar called shock, occupying. Chapter 602 Shock. Great musician Roland. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. It's a hero. Our hero of Marine, Mr. Roland is here. When the excited cry of the second communications Marine fell, the huge base conference room fell silent again. Next moment, an uproar called shock filled the audience once again. But compared to the shock with panic before, this time, I was extremely happy and excited. Great. This is really good. Mr. Rollins is so timely. With the hero Mr. Roland here, no matter what. Whether it's a sea king or a big pirate, there's nothing to be afraid of. Marine generals in the base looked excited and shouted excitedly. No. The thin communications sea soldier who was still being carried waved his hands again and again. What's the matter? People couldn't help but wonder. That Sea King, the super large Sea King is the mount of the hero Mr. Roland. The alarm has been lifted. The communications navy, with shock on his face, informed everyone about this shocking truth. Sure enough. After hearing this incredible truth, all the branch generals present were once again shocked and lost their voices. Chee, a few wisps of electric current suddenly flashed in the conference room where the needle drop could be heard. Everyone turned their heads in a daze, and their eyes fell on the phone bug that appeared on the conference table at some point. Sister this is Rear Admiral, a woman who has been with Suru for decades, pointed at the phone bug on the table in confusion. Wait, she finished. The voice from the phone bug gradually became clearer. It was the sound of the guitar playing and the sound of the drum, playing a deep and beautiful prelude. After the prelude, it is naturally the main song. A honest baritone full of vicissitudes came from the phone bug. At the same time, there is also a piece of love, a sadness. For you, I spent half a year of my savings to travel across the ocean to see you. For this gathering, I even practiced my words repeatedly when we met. I have never been able to express my affection for 1/10,000,000 for your promise. In the most desperate times, I endured not to cry. Unfamiliar cities and familiar corners once comforted each other and hugged and sighed. What kind of ending will I face, watching you go away in the wind and sand in the sky? I am so sad that I can't help myself. I hope I can send you thousands of miles until the mountains and rivers are exhausted, and I will be with you all my life. The huge base conference room was silent for a long time. Marine generals of the branch all covered their mouths tacitly, maintaining absolute silence and silence. Listen quietly to the heartwarming tune. Music knows no borders. Good music is often the most moving. As now. Sound of Luo Lin's song, Across the Ocean to See You, the entire 6 branch bases were intoxicated. Even the old and rude who didn't know a few big characters were touched by the emotions contained in the music at this moment. Not to mention the sentimental little girls and sailors. Under the blessing of Luo Lin's hero worship halo, this piece of touching music is added. The female soldiers all over the base couldn't help crying, tears bursting from their eyes unconsciously. Especially those people who have been emotionally traumatized are already crying at this moment. Sister Crane. Conference room of the base, all the female soldiers had red eyes, and their envious gazes fell on the first Vice Admiral Crane. Although they don't know what's going on, they are clear, this song by the hero Mr. Roland is sung for their eldest sister, Vice Admiral Crane. What a happy thing this is. This enthusiasm can only be responded to with more fiery enthusiasm. Feeling the collective gaze of his subordinates, Suru's downcast face flew up to a few embarrassed red clouds. However, the corners of his mouth unconsciously raised an arc of joy and joy. This idiot, here comes this trick again. Suru whispered softly. Sister Crane, go quickly, don't make Dad wait too long. Guillaume's pretty face has a bright smile, and tears are looming in the corners of her eyes, indicating that her heart is also touched. Suru nodded slightly. It's true that I can't let that idiot go on. Nonsense, anymore. My Majesty as the base commander will be worn away by him. Suru said something duplicitous. Next second, everyone in the room only felt their eyes flicker. Vice Admiral Crane that was in front of them had disappeared. Obviously, they are rushing towards the main entrance of the base at the fastest speed. All the branch generals in the field were stunned for a moment, and then burst into excited laughter. Sister, he is really, but her body is very honest. A veteran female soldier laughed and joked. This speed, as expected, love is the greatest power. Hurry up, let's keep up, how can we miss such an exciting scene? Hurry up and go. Everyone screamed and shouted, and rushed out of the conference room, stepping on the moon step and swept towards the main entrance for the first time. Chapter 603 Kiss 1. Suru is angry. JPG open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. Moon is like flowing water, shining on the sea, a sparkling wave. The Marine 6 branch of the Great Root seems to be holding a grand concert. The main player, Luo Lin, and his accompaniment, Yamato, are standing on the top of the giant serpentine sea kings. The melodious singing, with the mysterious power that touches the heart, echoes in the sea and in the sky, and lasts for a long time. Under the influence of the singing, the sailors gathered at the main gate of the base were intoxicated, and unconsciously followed the beat. Even the waves on the sea are getting higher and higher, as if they should be drinking this song by Luo Lin. Watching you go away in the wind and sand in the sky, I was so sad that I couldn't help myself. I hope that I could send you thousands of miles until the mountains and rivers are exhausted and I will be with you for a lifetime. ... With the long sound of the last word falling, there was a long silence between heaven and earth. Where thousands of Marines gathered, was silent. Only the waves are still joyfully ups and downs, beating. Above the head of the Black Sea Snake, Luo Lin slammed the guitar in his hands with both hands, looking at the dark night sky, with a splendid arc at the corner of his mouth. A few meters behind him, Yamato let out a light breath and lifted his chin slightly. Mask of Prajna, bright eyes fell on Luo Lin who was in front of him, and the beautiful eyes couldn't help but brilliance. Mr. Luo Lin is really an incredible person. Not only is he powerful, but he also has such attainments in rhythm. I really wish I could not be at the same time as him, but now it's enough to follow him silently. Yamato thought silently in his heart. Luo Lin naturally didn't pay attention to. Suddenly, there was a sharp wind breaking in the quiet night sky. From far to near, the speed is extremely fast. Only a few seconds before and after. A slender figure gradually became clear and enlarged in the eyes of people. That's Suru Vice Admiral. Suru Vice Admiral is here. Sure enough, the Commander-in-Chief of our base is here to respond to Mr. Roland. Shish, all shut up first, don't disturb them. The noise of the sailors at the main entrance of the base soon subsided again and became quiet again. Thousands of eyes just stared at the two people above their heads quietly. All eyes are on. In the sky, Suru stepped on the moon step and landed in front. Dumb. Suru groaned. Raised the pink fist and hit Luo Lin Chang's mouth. He. Roland smiled nonchalantly. Grab Suru's little hand. Oh. Watching this scene, the crowd at the front gate burst into a moment of surprise and shouts. Kiss one. Immediately following Suru, The veteran female soldiers, who were not too serious to watch the fun, let out a groaning scream. There are these. The old seniors take the lead. The scene was suddenly uncontrollable. Thousands of sailors at the main entrance of the base cheered in unison, and the scene was lively. Even Yamato, who was above the sea snake's head, was moved and muttered in a low voice. He, Dad, Sister he, it's hard to be kind, so the one who's embarrassed. Just let it go. In mid-air, Gion winked playfully. Tsuru, or. The thick-skinned Luo Lin looked at the crane in front of him and nodded earnestly. Bah, you think so beautifully, I'll go back first. Tsuru's eyes fell on Yamato who was behind Roland, and his soft expression suddenly became tough again. Vivi turned with a slender hand, broke free from Luo Lin's big hand, and then stepped back on the moon step without hesitation. This sudden situation made all the sailors at the main gate of the base dumbfounded. Sister he is. It must be shy. It must be so. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect Sister he to have such a time. Followed Tsuru for decades burst into laughter. Dad, don't you hurry up and keep up. Gion clenched his fists and cheered for Luo Lin. He. Roland raised his big hand and touched Gion's head lightly. Then Yamato, please ask Gion to arrange it. Roland rode. Dad, let's go. Gion nodded again and again. After seeing the silhouettes of Luo Lin and Crane disappearing into the night sky, Gion turned his gaze to Yamato who was beside him. So the look of the pretty face couldn't help but be a little weird. Dad is a real person, no wonder Sister Crane left angrily. Gion's beautiful eyes widened, her cheeks were puffed up, and she was instantly cute. The other side. The dark night sky, two figures crossed one after the other. The air made a burst of explosions. After about a few minutes, two figures descended one after another in a quiet single-family courtyard in the center of the island of the base. Without the attention of his subordinates. The rosy color on Tsuru's face faded quite a bit. With a pair of beautiful eyes, and Vivi's pretty cheeks bulged. This angry little expression looks cute all of a sudden. Chapter 604 Is Tsuru jealous? Open black lens bracket. Please order and customize close black lens bracket. Dark night. The bright moonlight is like flowing water, shining on the earth. At the same time, it also shines on Luo Lin and Crane in the quiet courtyard. In December, the weather is slightly cooler. There was no noisy insect chirping among the flowers and grasses. The atmosphere is a little chilly. The big-eyed and small-eyed situation in the courtyard continued for a while. A moment. Roland's figure was suddenly disillusioned. The reappearance is already in front of Tsuru. He raised his right hand and squeezed gently on Tsuru's bulging face. Tsuru, when did you have such a cute expression? It's not like you. Roland smiled. Go, stay away from me. Hearing Roland's straight man-like question, Tsuru suddenly lost his temper. Impatiently, he patted Luo Lin's big hand away, and a pair of willow leaf eyebrows immediately stood up. Ha ha ha, this is the Tsuru I am familiar with. Roland smiled happily. You idiot, I really. Tsuru was also amused, rolled his eyes, and had nothing to say. Obviously the previous love song was so moving, but when we met, it was revealed again. Totally. A straight man of steel. Okay, Tsuru, don't be angry, it's getting late, let's go to bed together. Roland put his arms around Tsuru's shoulders. Who wants to be with you? Tsuru slapped Luo Lin's big hand again. Alas. It's useless to look at me like this. Before that, I still have some questions to ask you. Tsuru nibbled his silver teeth. Ask. Roland waved his hand. What the hell are you doing today riding such a big sea king, for fear that others won't know? That's all, the young people in my base were almost frightened by you before. Hey. Tsuru said angrily. Ha ha ha, I am sorry, but I can't be as sneaky as last time when I want to come to you. I don't want to give you a long face. Roland laughed. Suru turned helplessly once again. Then the second question, the little girl who came with you this time is an unfamiliar face, and where did you provoke it and brought it to me on purpose? Suru pouted, and his voice gradually dropped. Sniff, Roland's nose swayed exaggeratedly. What do you do? Suru asked in confusion. Why do I smell such a big vinegar smell? Roland said solemnly. Fuck you. Suru raised his little pink fist and punched Luo Linshang's mouth. Who would be jealous, anyway? There are already so many on your side, one more is not much, and one less is not a lot. Ah ha ha. Roland smiled awkwardly. Suru, I'm not hiding it from you, but the one who came with me today is Kazuki Odin. Roland said with a serious look. What? Hearing this, Suru's beautiful face suddenly had an absurd look. Kazuki Odin. For Suru, who has experienced the Roger era, the name Kazuki Odin is naturally not unfamiliar to her. Luo Lin, even if you want to deceive people, you must find a reasonable reason. When will Kazuki Odin become a woman? Even if she wears a man's clothes, my eyes will never misread it. Crane's unequivocal way. No, it's actually like this. Immediately, Roland told Suru the story between Yamato and Kazuki Odin. So it is. Suru nodded in acceptance. Although that little girl is a girl, she has a man's heart, so don't worry about what she thinks of me. Maybe the next time we meet, she will be a man. Roland laughed. I'm worried that you have thoughts about her. Suru gave Roland a sidelong glance. Forget it, then this little girl who inherited the will of the hero Kazuki Odin should not be an ordinary person. Is she the young daughter of Odin who was on the Roger ship before? Suru asked. No, she's the daughter of Kaido Kid. Roland answered casually. Crane. Kaido's daughter. What's up? Roland BV Isho. No, nothing. Suru took a deep breath and calmed the tremor in his heart. And decided not to entangle with Luo Lin on this topic anymore. Last question. Ask. The song you sang just now is from your hometown again. Oh, I can't write it myself. Oh. Suru immediately gave Roland a, I understand it myself, expression. Cough, okay, it's from my hometown, but I sang my true feelings. It's very fitting to see you across the ocean. Roland said smugly. Then in the first sentence of the lyrics, you spent half a year of savings on me, so what about Nami and the others? Suru opened his mouth abruptly. Roland was stunned. Woo. Chapter 605 Dangerous. Escape, G6 Base Island. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Hearing Suru's abrupt question, Luo Lin couldn't help being stunned. Next moment. There seemed to be a whistle of a train whistle whistling past his ears. The expression on Roland's face gradually became strange. Aware of Roland's strange gaze, Suru couldn't help but blushed. However, he was still stubborn and did not look away. You haven't answered yet. Suru urged. Of course not, even if the two little girls Nami and Robin add up, they are definitely not as many as you alone. Roland answered seriously. Girl Robin. Sorry, I accidentally missed the point. Rollins apologized Isho. Suru. Of course she knew that Roland wasn't really leaking, he was just confessing to her. Suru has always been a person who likes to share. In Marine, it has always been fair and equitable, never monopolizing military exploits. If there is any good thing, I am happy to share it with my comrades and friends. But there is only one thing, which she does not want to share with others. 36 years of lonely time. Seeing his beloved again, Suru wants to change. Indeed, many changes have been made. Little girls around Roland in Waesung, Suru forced himself not to care. Even trying to accept those sisters. She thought she could do it. However, after seeing the changes in Nami, Suru realized that she is far from being generous enough to share Roland with others. That's why she returned to base 6 without saying a word, wanting to be alone and calm down. After a moment of silence, Suru exhaled a long breath, looked up again, and looked at his beloved who was close at hand. The cold little hand was raised, landed on Luo Lin's face, and gently stroked. Sure enough, I still can't do it now, but I also don't want to give up on you, idiot, so. Suru whispers. Rollins was silent. So I can only get ahead of those little girls. Suru's mouth corners. A subtle arc suddenly rises. Roland. Since you're here this time, don't leave in a hurry. Before you leave all your savings for 36 years. Suru spread his slender hands and smiled as he spoke. It's not necessary. Roland smelled a dangerous breath. Oh, are you afraid? Suru asked back. How come? That's just right. I've read your death diary before, and you've tried thousands of different ways of dying. It seems that you haven't tried this one yet. Suru mysterious issue. Which? Roland Vivi raised an eyebrow. Don't you know how to read minds? Listen to yourself. Suru explained in his heart. Roland's eyelids began to twitch when he heard Suru's voice. Just the little girls. Suru's path, which has always been steady, so wild now, or is this the nature of Suru that has been suppressed for many years? Luo Lin wants to be alone and think about it. But it's too late to leave now. Morning 3 days later. The crystal-clear first dew slides down the green leaves, splashes on the ground, and makes a soft sound of ding. Yamato, a girl in a prajna mask who was meditating and taking her morning class, suddenly opened her eyes. Mr. Roland, you're back. After 3 days, it was the first time that Luo Lin appeared. The pretty face under the Yamato mask suddenly flew into a few strands of joy. However, after a while, the joy turned into confusion and shock. Because the current Luo Lin, compared to the usual personable demeanor in the past, is indeed a little less interesting. Especially those deep, bright eyes that were always bright, but at this moment they were rarely dimmed. Mr. Roland, what's the matter with you? Have you been fighting for the past 3 days? The little girl Yamato widened her innocent and beautiful eyes, and anxiously stepped forward. Roland. Oh, is Daddy coming back? Guillaume's jubilant scream came from inside the house. Soon. Guillaume in an apron walked out with a jar of breakfast porridge. Dad, you came just in time, come and taste my craft. Guillaume greeted happily. Luo Lin was not polite to her, strode forward, and took the porridge pot that was still boiling. Gudong is an imageless gobbling. This scene directly made Guillaume and Yamato, 2 little girls, look silly. Mr. Roland, slow down. Yamato reminded. Yes. Guillaume also recovered. Dad, slow down, it's very hot. Guillaume was worried. But it was too late. The hot pot of hot porridge has already filled Luo Lin's belly. For Roland, who is full of heat-resistant properties, this little bit of temperature is no problem. Mr. Roland, what happened to you? Where have you been these 3 days? Yamato couldn't help but ask again. It's too late to explain, grab me now. Roland stretched out his right hand towards Yamato. Yamato subconsciously held it obediently. By the way, Guillaume, I'm sorry to finish your porridge, but it's really good. Roland, who recovered some spirits, praised him. No, compared to Sister E's craftsmanship, I still. Guillaume just wanted to be humble. However, before she could finish speaking, Luo Lin disappeared in front of her. What the hell happened to Dad today? It's inexplicable. Guillaume is puzzled. Chapter 606 Roland's strongest battle in his life. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Food City, EPUB. Here is the famous tourist food city of the Great Route. There are large and small restaurants everywhere in the city. The hotel. The evening. The sun goes down. It is the time when tourists end their day's travel and forage for food. It is now a restaurant. The going period when the meal point attracts customers. The major food stalls on both sides of the street are all set up. There are people coming and going in front of the large hotel, which is not very lively. However, there are exceptions. That restaurant can be ranked in the top 10 in the entire food city of EPUB. But the door was closed at the moment. There is no intention of opening in this going period at all. This is of course very abnormal. In fact, only people who have been here know that. This large hotel. Early in the morning, it was announced that it was closed for unknown reasons. Competitors not far from each other secretly laughed and laughed. On the contrary, a closed restaurant. The boss is looking at the pile of goings in front of him and his mouth is full of joy. Counting the money really makes my hands cramp. This is a once-in-a-lifetime super big business. Boss, it's not good. Our food pantry has basically bottomed out, and all kinds of ingredients are in short supply. A restaurant. The staff reported anxiously. Then hurry up and go shopping. Restaurant. The boss growled angrily. Boss, it's not good. The chefs in the kitchen are all tired and cramped to the ground. Another restaurant. The staff came in a hurry. What did you say? Restaurant. The boss was shocked. Since this is the case, I have to do it myself. After a moment of astonishment, the restaurant. The boss rolled up his sleeves and got ready to fight in person. After all, whether the scale of his restaurant can rise to the next level and rank among the top 3 ranks of EPUB, can all rely on the 2 mysterious big stomach kings in the box. Definitely use deliciousness to keep those 2 customers. Restaurant. The little old boss nodded firmly. Boss. Restaurant. In the corridor on the 2nd floor, Yamato, a girl wearing a prajna mask, leaned against the railing and looked at the people who were chaotic below. Yes, do you have any other orders, guest? Restaurant. The little boss rubbed his hands together, his face flattering. The main food is almost here, let's continue, and then just have some light snacks and fruits. Yamato opened. Yes, I'll be there soon, guests please have a moment. Restaurant. The little boss smiled. Yamato nodded and turned back to the box. Until I saw Yamato back to the box, the restaurant in the hall. The employees let out a long sigh of relief. One by one they fell to the ground. It's finally over. It's an exaggeration, hey. From morning to night, eat for a whole day, this is the real king of big stomach. Restaurant. The employees were overwhelmed with emotion. By the way, who are they? Did you see it when you went up to deliver the food? Someone asked. No. I didn't see it either. The aura of the person wearing the demon mask is too strong, I dare not look up. It's the same with me. As soon as I walked into the box, I felt like a stone was crushed in my heart. I put it down in a hurry and ran away. Lots of restaurants. The employees shook their heads one after another. Listening to the description of the staff, the restaurant. The little boss's heart was itchy like a cat scratching. An emotion called curiosity quickly invaded his whole being. Hey, over there, give me the fruit plate dessert, and I will deliver it to the guests myself. Driven by the curiosity of wanting to see the identity of the big stomach king, at the same time, I want to keep such a big money owner, the restaurant. The little boss took the fruit plate and went upstairs in person. The other side. Restaurant. 2nd floor box. Yamato looked at the messy picture in the room, and couldn't help but be surprised. Mr. Roland, what fierce battles have you experienced these 3 days? Yamato couldn't help but sigh. It's the best battle I've ever experienced in my life. Roland nodded deeply. Even if he is immortal, his body will weaken when he is severely injured, loses too much blood, or suffers from other wear and tear. At this time, it is necessary to rely on food to make up for the lost vitality of the body. After a day of non-stop food intake, Roland finally recovered. At the same time, thanks to this time, he also got the usual bonus again. If it happens again, the situation will be reversed. Mr. Roland, who are you fighting? Are the two people who attacked Weisung last time again? The innocent big and little girl asked seriously. Roland, Just then, Dang Dang knocked on the door. Come in. Yamato responded. Guests, your fruit plates and desserts are here. A restaurant full of smiles. The little boss comes in. Next second, after seeing the person behind the pile of plates, the restaurant, the smile on the little boss's face solidified. It turned to extreme shock and unbelievable color. Ying ying ying, hero Roland. Chapter 607 Go to the Holy Land Mariajoy and play. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Ying ying ying, hero Roland. Looking through the stacked dinner plates, he saw the real body of the mysterious big eater sitting peacefully by the window. A diminutive restaurant. The little old boss suddenly widened his eyes, and the old face showed extreme shock and disbelief. Then it turned into excitement and joy as much as possible, so that the voice was raised by more than an octave. But the next second, restaurant. The little boss quickly raised his hand to cover his mouth again, trying his best to suppress his screaming. Mr. Roland. Look at the restaurant that can't walk because of the excitement of seeing the legend. Boss, Yamato frowned slightly, and gave Luolin a questioning look. It's okay. Roland waved his hands indifferently. Since he was enjoying the food and replenishing his physical strength, Luolin naturally didn't want to cause a commotion and be disturbed by onlookers. Now, since it's already eaten, it doesn't matter. Boss, your food tastes very good and special. Roland complimented casually. Yes. Get praise from heroes, restaurant. The little old man suddenly felt infinite joy in his heart and nodded heavily. Hero Luolin, the biggest secret of the difference between the taste of my family's food and others is the seasoning salt. My hometown is the capital of water, where the gods of water are attacked every year, but after the tsunami every year, people from when the seawater recedes, special coarse salt crystals will form on the roofs of each house, and after purification, it is an excellent delicacy. Restaurant. The little boss talked eloquently and did not shy away from telling his secret recipe for making a fortune. So it is. Roland nodded knowingly. But boss, it's really okay for you to tell me this secret to an outsider. Roland smiled back. No problem, no problem, you are the hero who saved the world, I, and my grandchildren, are all your fans. Restaurant. The little boss opened his mouth excitedly. The hero who saves the world, hee, how can it be so exaggerated? Roland shook his head helplessly. Hero Mr. Roland, if you can, please give me your autograph. Restaurant. The little boss is like the most devout star chaser, bowing and asking for autographs. Yes. 4. The commoners, request for a joint effort, Roland would never refuse. The restaurant that got the hero's signature is its wish. The old man was instantly ecstatic. Roland chuckled and shook his head, and with a sound, he was about to leave. Wait, Mr. Roland, the hero, your going is still there. Next, I'll bring it to you. Restaurant. The boss is anxious to hold back. It is a great honor for the legendary big man, the hero Luolin, to visit his shop. It is also the best promotion for his restaurant. In this case, how could he collect money from the hero? No need. Natural to pay for meals. Rollins never took advantage of the commoners. Then take at least half of it back. Mr. Roland, you have given too much. If you have more, save it for next time. Roland waved his hand and walked away with Yamato without looking back. After watching the legendary hero leave for a long time, the restaurant. The boss finally came to his senses from this huge surprise, nodded his head, and was so excited that he couldn't help himself. Woo, woo woo, the train whistle echoed above the sea. The train gallops along the track erected above the sea, which is very spectacular. The sea train originated from the hand of Tom, the shipmaster of the water capital, is one of the miracles on this sea. The train running on the sea turned out to be true in the book. I thought it was just a story. Top of the train, Yamato looked at the speeding train under his feet. His pretty face under the mask of Hanya was full of surprises and novelties. Hey, Mr. Roland, where are we going next? Just follow the train to the Water City. I read the description of the Water City in Mr. Odin's logbook. Is it really a city that exists on water? And the specialty water and water meat there is also very delicious. Under the stimulation of the novel sea train, the little girl Yamato lost her usual steadiness and kept asking questions like a curious baby. Roland looked at the lively Yamato calmly, and the corners of his mouth raised an arc. Feeling the gaze from Roland, Yamato reacted and hurriedly lowered his head. Sorry, Mr. Rollins. Yamato apologized softly. It doesn't matter, but I'll go to the capital of water next time. Now I want to go to another old place and have a good revisit. Roland grinned Isho, revealing a large white tooth that is harmless to humans and animals, especially white under the shadow of the moonlight. Seeing the smile on Luo Lin's face, Yamato widened his beautiful eyes and held his breath. How do you say the big and the little girls are going to the water capital to play and wait for me to pick you up later, or go with me now? Roland asked with a smile. Go, I'll go wherever Mr. Roland goes. Big and little girls raised their hands like elementary school students. By the way, Mr. Roland, where are you going? And, Yamato added a question. Then, let's go to Mariajoy and play. Roland grinned Isho. Yamato. Chapter 608 36 years later, come to the Holy Land again. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Dark night. The bleak moonlight shone on the blood-red earth. This is the Red Earth continent. A supercontinent that traverses the sea and divides the whole world into two, completely isolated. Compared to the various exotic islands on the Great Route. This piece of land is so big that even if all the islands in the world combined are not enough to compare with the Red Earth continent, it is the biggest wonder of the pirate world. On this vast Red Earth continent, nature also has its unique human landscape. With the passage of time, one new trade city after another has been established and grown. However, no matter how prosperous other cities are, this Red Earth continent, and even the center of the entire world, is only there. The super city that is detached from the world and called the Holy Land, by the world, Mariajoy. At this moment, some highland about 5 miles from the Holy Land of Mariajoy. Space VV ripples and twists. 2 tall figures, a man and a woman, walked out of the space. There is the legendary holy place, Mariajoy, the headquarters of the world government. Looking at the brightly lit luxury city in the distance, Yamato, wearing a Prajna mask, murmured subconsciously. Her Bible, Kazuki Odin's logbook, records all the strange islands he travels around the world. Roger pirates who have conquered the entire Great Route and traveled almost all over the world still have places they have never set foot on. Example, Impel Down, Marine Headquarters and the biggest taboo, Holy Land Mariajoy. Mr. Roland, why is the red earth around Mariajoy much darker than the surrounding area? Yamato noticed the difference and asked curiously. Maybe it's because this is a city of sin that has been poured out with the blood of countless civilians. Luo Lin opened his mouth faintly, his eyes deep. There was an inexplicable and dangerous fluctuation in the whole body. Sensing the change in the aura around Roland's body, the pretty face under the Yamato Prajna mask couldn't help showing a look of surprise. An hour ago, on the roof of the sea train, I learned that Roland's trip was going to be the Holy Land Mariajoy. Yamato is already shocked to the point where it can't be added. While shocked, Yamato is also keenly aware of Roland's strange emotional changes when he talked about Mariajoy. As now. Sure enough, Mr. Roland is going to make a big one again today. Yamato let out a long breath, subconsciously thinking. The splendor in Roland's eyes grew more and more. 10 days ago in the small courtyard of Watchung. I saw the suave Roland outside the crazy fight. Arrived at the 6-branch base 3 days ago, she saw Luo Lin's passionate side again. For the sake of his beloved, he even wrote and directed a touching song. In the evening not long ago, she witnessed Roland's affinity for commoners. Such a character not beloved by people. The name of a hero is well deserved. And now, when Roland took her to the Holy Land Mariajoy, she once again saw the crazy side of Luo Lin's battle with the 4 sovereigns. This time Roland aimed at Mariajoy, the holy place where Tenryubito lived. Such a crazy thing is simply unprecedented, and it can be said that it is unique. No. Yamato seemed to have thought of something. The gaze that looked at Roland became more and more strange. What's the matter, big and little girl? Roland asked with a smile. Mr. Roland, I suddenly remembered that Mr. Odin's logbook has mentioned one thing more than once. 36 years ago, an unknown event happened in this holy place Mariajoy. Having said this, Yamato paused and looked at Roland without blinking. Oh, that kid Odin really writes everything in his diary. Roland Vivi raised an eyebrow. Then what is written in the log is true. The Mariajoy incident 36 years ago was really caused by you, Mr. Roland. Yamato took a deep breath and forcibly suppressed the shock of learning the truth of the big event. It's not a big deal either. Not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. Roland waved his hand. Yamato. God, his meow is not worth mentioning. This is a world-class event. Mr. Roland, did your sudden disappearance 36 years ago have something to do with that big event? Yamato asked. Well, I accidentally missed it. Roland said casually. It's terrifying that even someone like Mr. Roland has lost the world government. It's okay. Are there many powerful people in Mariajoy? It's okay. Is there really a mysterious ruler above the Gorosei, 5 elders, the highest power in the world? It's alright. Is that guy strong? It's okay. Yamato. Speaking of which, Mr. Roland, are you really going to visit the Holy Land again today? Yamato widened her beautiful eyes and finally asked. Oh, why not? Roland grins Isho. Chapter 609 Yamato's Beware. Kill a Tenryubito to sacrifice to heaven. Open black lens bracket for subscription, close black lens bracket. 36 years ago, Luo Lin cut through the Holy Land with one knife and one knife. Hit the deepest part of Mariajoy, go to the final big IM, and finally lose. 36 years later, Roland re-enters the Holy Land Mariajoy. Compared with the impulse last time, this time Luo Lin no longer held the idea of breaking the net with Yimu and fighting to the death. Compared with the past, he now has enough time to play with it slowly. More importantly, he is no longer alone. Behind him is Wei Sung, those long-lost old brothers, and those cute little girls who gave him peace. This is Roland's concern, and it is also the driving force that drives him to become stronger. Not for himself, but for those people who follow him. Luo Lin must also be more serious. After all, he can have another 36 years, but other people may not be able to survive another reincarnation. Mr. Roland, what are you going to do this time? Like last time, go straight in? The little girl, who turned into a curious baby, asked again. Under the mask of Prajna, there was panic in the wide and beautiful eyes, and at the same time there was a little excitement. It was the first time she had experienced such an exciting thing. No. Maybe this is the only time in this life. Miss Da, you're sure you want to fight in, but I can't care about you. Roland opened his mouth with a smile. Mr. Roland, don't look at me like this, I'm very strong. Yamato patted the full bare breast, not without a complacent opening. And, when meeting Luo Lin's smiling eyes, Yamato couldn't help embarrassing Isho. The Wano Kuni 4 Emperor's pirates, and she knows the horror of a 4 emperor's power. However, even the 4 emperors are completely incomparable in front of the behemoth of the world government. As the center of the world, Mariajoy, the holy place of the world government's stronghold, must be the most terrifying place in the world, bar none. And 100 times more terrifying than the 4 emperors' base camp. Her small body is quite resistant to beatings. If she really gets in, she can only deliver food, and there is no return. Otherwise, forget it. Yamato scratched the back of his head and spoke weakly. Hee. Roland raised his big hand and stroked Yamato's hair lightly. You don't have to be so nervous. As long as you don't go to the innermost part, I want to take you away outside, but no one can stop you. Roland grinned Isho, the style between the words. Looking at the unparalleled heroic appearance of the man in front of him, Yamato's heart, which has always been big, jumped for no reason. Deep inside, there seems to be something that has been missing for a long time. Let's go. Roland stretched out his right hand. Yamato answered obediently, and a cold little hand fell on Luo Lin's palm. The power of the space spread out, and the bodies that wrapped the two disappeared in an instant. A moment's effort. Roland took Yamato over the dozens of guards who crossed the main gate of the Holy Land and quietly came into the city. In front of you is a neat stone avenue. All kinds of precious flowers and trees are planted on both sides of the road, all of which are trimmed neatly and meticulously. Among other things, this city is indeed the best in the world. It's just that behind this prosperous light, there is the deepest darkness hidden. This is the interior of the Holy Land, and it actually came in. Yamato murmured in shock. The footsteps took a step unconsciously and landed on the stone avenue. However, after a moment, Yamato immediately retracted his little feet. Mr. Roland, down this road. Something is wrong down there. Yamato seemed to sense something, and the little face under the mask showed a little panic. Ah. Roland nodded. For the truth of this convenient road to automation, Luo Lin is clear. The convenience enjoyed by the world noble Tenryubito is all based on the blood and sweat of the commoners. Behind this seemingly high-tech automatic road are countless toiling civilians who use their lives to push going. 36 years ago, when Luo Lin passed by, he destroyed it once. This time will be no exception. The light flickers. One after another crisscrossing white light swept across the road made of countless blood and bones. Go straight to the end of the road. After a while, it subsided again. On the surface, the path has not changed in the slightest. However, the major connection points of its internal organization have long been affected by Luo Lin's power and smashed to pieces. After all, there are still a large number of hard-working civilian slaves below, and if they are completely smashed, they will inevitably bury all the people below. After all, it's just a temporary solution, not the root cause. Rollins mocked Isho. No matter what. No matter how many times he destroys this road, the world government will once again squeeze the slave civilians to repair it and restore it to its original state. If you want to completely eradicate this situation, you can only start at the source. Thinking of this, the cold light in Luo Lin's eyes gradually turned cold. Just then, a group of chaotic footsteps suddenly came from behind Luo Lin. The mortal ants in front of you, don't hurry up and give way to this sage, otherwise, no matter what. Which one of you are the guards, all of you will become slaves of this saint. Tenryubito Roswald scolded arrogantly. Hee. Roland hee Isho, murderous intent pervades. Since we met so by chance, let's slaughter a Tenryubito to sacrifice to heaven. Chapter 610 The Ultimate Fear. Scared the incontinent Tenryubito. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. The first two people, who are you in which department? What the hell are you doing here at this time? Lord Roswald is here, so hurry up and get out of here. Anyway, if you don't want to die, just kneel down and beg for mercy. Following Tenryubito Roswald, The dog-legged guards who accompanied Tenryubito to protect Tenryubito also shouted loudly. There is a lofty attitude between the words. By the arrogance of Tenryubito and his bastards. His observation Haki had already sensed the arrival of Rosward and his party. It's still here, just waiting for them to come. The dark moon and the wind kill the night. Such a good time and beautiful scenery, it must be excellent to kill a Tenryubito at will. At the same time, regarding this arrogant Tenryubito Roswald who appeared in the original plot, Roland also has some origins with him. 36 years ago, during the Mariajoy incident, Roland, who had entered the Holy Land, almost wiped out the Tenryubito families who had committed many crimes. Among them was the Tenryubito family of Roswald. At that time, Roswald, who was young and strong, happened to go out and escape the disaster. 36 years later, Roland indirectly blew up his son Charles Ross on the Sabayati Islands. Now I just happened to meet him here again. So to say something like, fate is really wonderful. Just as Roland was thinking about these, some were gone. On the other side, Tenryubito Roswald, who was completely ignored, was furious. Tenryubito, a descendant of the gods, is at least the supreme noble of the world. They are born with all the privileges of the world. Ordinary civilians only have to kneel and bow when they see them. But now, there are people who dare to ignore his words and turn a blind eye to his majesty. This is an unforgivable sin in Roswald's view. Unforgivable, really unforgivable. Soldiers, quickly take down those two guys who despised God. I want them to be my slaves. Life is better than death, and let them regret being born in this world. Tenryubito Roswald's old face in the bubble mask jumped wildly with blue veins, and his right foot stomped on the tall slave under his feet, screaming furiously. Yes, Saint Roswald. A group of Tenryubito hooligans shouted in unison. Then his eyes fell on the two Luolin who were not far ahead, and their faces became hideous. You dare to ignore Lord Roswald, you are already dead. No matter who comes today, it can't be you. When you become slaves, you will know how stupid the previous disrespect was. Be honest and grab it. The Tenryubito gangsters, armed with all kinds of knives and guns, moved closer to the two of them, step by step. There was a sly smile on his face. What the hell is going on with those two mortal ants, and they are still motionless? It's really annoying. Tenryubito Roswald gritted his teeth. Lord Roswald, please calm down. This subordinate thinks that the two may have been frightened by the majesty of Lord Roswald from the very beginning, and the reason why they did not move is just because they were so scared that their bodies were completely stiff. As expected of Lord Roswald. Tenryubito's servant with a tuxedo and a mustache spoke flatteringly. Hearing the servant's praise, Roswald was stunned for a moment, and then he couldn't help laughing happily. Kebab Baba, what you said is reasonable, what you said is right, this sage will reward you. Roswald laughed. Thank you, Lord Roswald. Long live Lord Roswald. The mustachioed servant who was best at stalking horses immediately knelt down and gave a big salute. Roswald was proud of his humble attitude. A pair of dim yellow old eyes looked at the beautiful women who were chained and collared to the side, and the old face was full of greed. 2 months ago, his only son, Charles Ross, died in the Sabayati Islands. Demon, Roland, the nightmare man who slaughtered his entire family. Knowing that the devil came back alive, Roswald locked himself in the mansion for 2 months and did not dare to go out. Until recently. The wind gradually passed. The devil who brought him countless fears never appeared. Roswald finally felt relieved. The killing of his son Charles Ross certainly made him angry. But in the face of that murderous devil, he couldn't send it to the door by himself. After all, your life is the most precious. If the son is gone, he will be gone, anyway. He can be reborn. With different postures that he snatched from Sabayati's land are exactly the containers he uses to raise new sons. Thinking of this, Roswald couldn't wait in his heart. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Just when Tenryubito Roswald was expecting his subordinates to open the way as soon as possible and go home to enjoy. Next second, the turbulent and terrifying impact air waves suddenly burst out and swept the four directions. One by one, the armored and heavily armed guards fell like dumplings. At the same time, Gecko jumping out of the clouds, Tenryubito Roswald finally saw the face of the person blocking the road not far ahead. That was his ultimate fear. Chapter 611 Yamato's Thundering Gossip. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Dark night. Dark clouds cover the moonlight. The evening wind blows the trees. The trees are shadowy and rustling. A team of brightly armored, fully armed world government guards armed with all kinds of knives and guns approached the two immobile figures. "Mr. Roland, can you leave it to me here?" Yamato looked at Luo Lin calmly and asked for instructions. The beautiful eyes under the prajna mask showed a hint of eagerness to try. The moment of following Roland's invasion of the Holy Land Mariajoy, Yamato had already imagined the possibility of encountering the world noble Tenryubito. In Kazuki Oden's logbook, there are records of Tenryubito's evil deeds. Yamato has always hated Tenryubito, who relied on privilege to do evil, wantonly oppresses civilians, deprives freedom, and is more pirate than pirates. When I saw it today, the so-called Tenryubito's arrogance and domineering were even better than Oden's description. Those civilian girls deprived of their liberty by Tenryubito Roswald ignited Yamato's inner flame. Once, the hero Kazuki Oden slashed Tenryubito with a sword, shocking one side. Now, as Oden's successor, she has to follow suit. Looking at Yamato's hopeful gaze, Vivi's corner of Luo Lin's mouth curled up. "Then leave it to you, and let go." Roland grinned. "Yes." With Luo Lin's permission, the pretty face under Yamato's mask instantly showed a look of joy. The slender hand landed on the pitch-black mace pinned behind his waist. The daughter of the four Emperor Kaido of the Beasts, Yamato's weapons and moves are in the same line. "Bastards, who are you guys? What's wrong with your clothes? Are you trespassers? This is the Holy Land of Mariajoy. Who dares to invade?" Until approaching, through the faint moonlight, I could vaguely see the clothes of Luo Lin and Yamato. A group of fully armed Tenryubito guards couldn't help being shocked. "Forget it, don't talk nonsense with them, take them down now. When they become prisoners, they will naturally speak." The two captain-level guards gave orders coldly. Shouting loudly. The guards no longer approached slowly, charged in a straight line, or jumped up. All kinds of weapons in his hands flickered with icy cold light, and fell towards Luo Lin and Yamato. At the same time, the pitch-black mace pin to Yamato's waist slowly pulled out. A trace of black air lingered upwards. Boom! A dull thump sounded suddenly in the atmosphere. Then it turned into a series of harsh gas explosions. It was caused by the swing of the mace in Yamato's hand. Lei, Ming, Ba, Hua. Accompanied by Yamato's snort. The power of the pitch-black mace between his hands exploded in full force. Inherited from his father Kaido of the Beasts, ultimate move, Thunder and Gossip, exploded at this moment, shaking the four wilds. Yamato's mace slammed into the atmosphere, arousing a dazzling white shock. The powerful shock wave then spread, causing the atmosphere to ripple in circles. Under this terrifying shock wave, the figures of the Tenryubito guards who were attacking from all directions froze. The swords and guns in their hands bent at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the fine iron armor on their bodies gradually dented. Finally, there is the body under the armor, which is also slowly twisted. After a moment of silence, there was a loud bang. Just a moment. Dozens of Tenryubito dog-leg guards screamed in unison, all of them flying backwards in all directions like kites with broken strings. One after another deep pits and depressions were smashed into the ground. Blood overflowed from their mouths, staining the earth red. "Sorry, Mr. Roland, the movement is a little louder. Yamato said apologetically. It's okay, don't mind, this blow is beautiful. Roland nodded in approval, and his right hand subconsciously fell on Yamato's head and touched it lightly to show encouragement. Sensing the warm big hand on his head, Yamato's delicate body couldn't help trembling. Immediately, the pretty face under the prajna mask unconsciously raised a bright smile. Thank you, Mr. Roland. Yamato bowed his thanks with joy. The other side. Watching the sudden changes in the battlefield dozens of meters away. Tenryubito Roswald, who was still immersed in a beautiful fantasy, suddenly jolted and woke up completely. Looking at the mess on the ground, looking at the guards who vomited blood and fell to the ground. Tenryubito Roswald couldn't help being stunned, and his old face couldn't help but turn pale. What the hell is going on? Tenryubito Roswald screamed and kicked the mustached servant beside him to the ground. The bearded servant just knelt on the ground tremblingly, his heart was extremely terrified, and he no longer had the proud attitude when he was stalking the horse. Damn, how are you? The frightened Tenryubito Roswald suddenly raised his head, and his arrogant scolding words came to an abrupt end. The bright moon on the day jumped out of the barrier of the dark clouds. The brilliance of the moon illuminates the earth. His dim old eyes finally saw the face of the person blocking the road in front of him. Ah ah ah. An extremely terrifying scream rang out. Tenryubito Roswald's luxurious clothes were soaked in an instant. Chapter 612 Alternate Admiral Chaton Tokikake. Unima is tall. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. The moon jumped out of the obstruction of the dark clouds, and sprinkled the water like moonlight, illuminating the world. The complete presentation of Roland's kind smile in front of Tenryubito Roswald. So, Roswald's inspoken screeching came to an abrupt end. The dim old eyes suddenly opened wide. A series of meaningless low-pitched whistles emanated from its wide-open mouth, like a duck stuck in its throat. The old face showed extreme horror and disbelief. It was as if he had seen the most terrifying existence in the world. This is indeed the case. For Tenryubito Roswald. That face, that person is synonymous with the devil. It's his innermost nightmare. In order to avoid this demon, he locked himself in a room for 2 months. Until recently that I couldn't take it anymore and went out for the first time. Who ever thought? The first time he went out to plunder after 2 months, he encountered the most terrifying monster in the world. How unfortunate is this, as if fate was playing tricks on him. After a moment of dead silence, the shrill screams like killing pigs finally burst out from Tenryubito Roswald's mouth. In an instant, the emotion called ultimate fear took over his entire being from the inside out. Under the domination of fear, his muscles, no, every cell in his body trembled involuntarily and lost control. Every tissue of the body is out of control. The heart felt like it was going to explode. The water in his body passed through the pores and turned into cold sweat, soaking the luxurious clothes on his body. There was also a foul smell in it. It was Tenryubito Roswald's fear of incontinence. Lord Roswald. The other guards beside him also screamed in horror. Like Tenryubito Roswald, through the bright moonlight, they finally saw the face of the person blocking the road ahead. Then the person is. That man, he is. Hero Roland. The hero Roland is an intruder. Why is this man here? The Tenryubito dogleg guards were horrified. It's really noisy. Roland scratched his ears, casually. One step down. The raging hockey frenzy swept the 4 corners as a fan. In an instant, the world is quiet. Except for Tenryubito Roswald, the other guards all solidified at the same time, and then their eyes turned white. He fell into a coma one after another in a slap. As expected of Mr. Roland. Yamato exclaimed. Miss Da, didn't you think about beating up Tenryubito for a while? Why are you still doing it? Roland smiled. Ah. Yamato tilted his head in confusion. Immediately, he responded immediately. Under the impact of Roland's ultimate conqueror, Roswald, who was still not in a coma, was not because he was strong enough. That Tenryubito was specially reserved for her by Roland. There is no delay. Yamato didn't say a word, holding the mace, and dashing towards Tenryubito Roswald in a single stride. Then he raised his hand to strike mercilessly with one hand and thundered the 4 hexagram. Looking at the terrifying mace that kept expanding in his sight, Tenryubito Roswald's body couldn't move. Not even the slightest sound could be made. Just then, suddenly there was a series of harsh explosions in the sky. It was the sound of someone passing through the atmosphere at great speed. "Stop!" a dignified voice burst out. At the same time, a dazzling blue air blade suddenly lit up in the night. Incredibly fast. In an instant, it was already on Yamato's mace. A piercing sound of power slamming rang out. The stalemate between the Rankyaku Tempest Kick air blade and Yamato's thunderous 4 hexagram continued for a short while. "This is something that Mr. Roland specially left to me. We must respond. This Tenryubito has made up his mind." Yamato snorted firmly. The slender arm burst out with a formidable strength that was completely incompatible with it. The powerful Rankyaku Tempest Kick air blade in one fell swoop and completely defeated it. Bang! Yamato's mace made a close contact with Tenryubito Roswald's head. Tenryubito Roswald, who is not even better than the 5 scumbags, spins like a top and ascends to the sky. The whole head was almost beaten, and only the last breath was left. Rodswald Street. Marine Headquarters candidate Admiral Chaton Tokikake's complexion changed drastically. Quickly stepped on the moon step to catch the miserable Roswald. A pair of sharp eyes instantly locked the two intruders on the ground. A stick blows Tenryubito Roswald's Yamato, and the young man on the other side. "Fuck you, you. Yanama is tall." Bang. Chapter 613 Prerequisites for Marrying Guion Open black lens bracket Subscription close black lens bracket. You Nima is tall. A thunderous roar exploded in this world. Admiral Chaton Tokikake, who is still in extreme shock, becomes even more shocked. Appeared on the wretched face that was enough to compete with Admiral Kizaru. Don't know when. The tall and majestic figure that was originally on the ground had already come directly above him. A big foot fell straight down. There is no escape, there is no escape. Even Chaton Tokikake, whose strength is close to the admiral level, can't help but feel despair in front of the big foot that fell from the sky. Under the lock of the hero Luo Lin's chi, how many people in this world can get out of the Chaton Tokikake, who is an admiral candidate, has no confidence at all. No way to avoid it, so naturally we have to resist. Iron armor. The release of Rokushiki iron blocks and armament hockey all over the body strengthens Chaton Tokikake's body strength to the extreme. This is the ultimate in what Chaton Tokikake can do at this moment. However, at this critical moment, Chaton Tokikake overlooked one thing. That is, at this moment he is not alone. In his hands is Tenryubito Roswald, whose last breath was left due to thunder and gossip. He can resist hard, but Roswald, who is a scumbag, can't. Roland's foot that fell from the sky has not yet landed. Just a little closer. The accompanying terrifying oppressive force has already made Roswald's crooked head crack open after another. The red and white tissue fluids mixed and splashed out. When Chaton Tokikake realizes this, it is already too late. Only a soft, bang, sound was heard. Like a watermelon being smashed with a mallet and shattered all over the place. A moment of pain flashed across the twisted old face of Tenryubito Roswald, who was seriously injured and dying. Immediately it exploded. Roland Vice Admiral, you. Chaton Tokikake's complexion changed suddenly, and the wretched smile on his face was gone. Instead, only extreme shock and disbelief emerged. After all, just now, a Tenryubito was killed right under his nose, stepped on. And it was the hero Roland who did this kind of thing. The woman he was after, the dad, 5 income is about equal to his. Tokikake kid, think about yourself first. Reading the inner thoughts of Chaton Tokikake, Luo Lin, who knew that he was still immortal, couldn't help but turn a little dark. After changing the idea of preparing for a casual lesson earlier, the strength on his feet became more and more intense. Feeling the rising breath of Luo Lin's body, Chaton Tokikake's mind. All kinds of thoughts were swept away. To mobilize the strength of the whole body to stand ready. Boom! Roland's feet arrived as expected. In the violent roar, Chaton Tokikake's body shot towards the ground like a cannonball. Wherever he passed, the atmosphere exploded with clouds of smoke. It's just a short time before and after. Under Roland's heavy blow, Chaton Tokikake's body spanned a distance of 100 meters and fell directly on the ground of Mariajoy. Dong! A dull thud sounded like the heartbeat of the earth. Half the Holy Land Mariajoy was shaken at this moment. Rumble! A thunderous roar resounded through the sky. Centered on the drop point of Chaton Tokikake. A terrifying shock wave raged. The earth collapsed layer by layer at this moment. Cobweb-like cracks are densely packed and spread along the 4 directions. Wherever it went, it was like a tumbling dragon, a mess. The trees on both sides of the road also rose from the ground at this time and danced in the air. After a while, the terrifying shock that disturbed the world came to an end, gradually subsided, and finally returned to calm. In a deep pit with a radius of 100 meters. Chaton Tokikake sat up, covered the footprints of the bear's mouth, and coughed twice. He opened his mouth to speak, but couldn't say a word. Tokikake kid, if you want to marry my Guillaume, you must win me first. Roland spoke calmly. Poof. This, Chaton Tokikake spit out a mouthful of blood. You have to win before you are qualified to marry Guillaume. If this is a test, it will be really hard. It's a desperate hell difficulty. Chaton Tokikake wailed in his heart. Who had never fainted after being hit by Roland's full force before, was completely blacked out at this moment, his head was tilted, and he completely passed out. Mr. Roland, this. Yamato's beautiful eyes widened, looking at the messy picture in front of him, unable to speak for a long time. For a long time. Yamato took a deep breath. Mr. Roland, this is too exaggerated. Now our existence should have been completely exposed, what should we do next? Yamato clenched his show fist and asked nervously. Wait a little while longer. Roland grinned Isho. He came to Mariajoy today for another unknown reason besides being fed and strolling around the battlefield where he fought. That was some interesting secret learned from a secret contact with Shichibukai Tyrant Bear. The 5 old men, my blood is not. You can use it at will. Luo Lin whispered to himself. Chapter 614 Really? Something big is about to happen. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. The piercing siren of, bell bell bell, echoed near the main gate of the Holy Land Mariajoy. One after another, an army of heavily armed armor assembled urgently. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Captain, what the hell is going on? It shouldn't be time to switch defenses. Several guards asked inexplicably. Don't be careless, idiots, this is the order of Tokikake Vice Admiral. From now on, we will keep an eye on all the entrances and exits of the Holy Land, not even a fly. The captain of the guard shouted firmly. Tokikake Vice Admiral's order. What the hell happened? The expressions on the faces of the guards became more and more puzzled. It's an intruder. The other captain of the guard said solemnly and did not hide it. When the captain's voice fell, there was a dead silence near the main gate of the Holy Land Mariajoy. After a while. Wow! The soldiers were in a shocking uproar, shouting one after another, resounding through the sky. Intruder! How is this possible? This is the Holy Land Mariajoy. Absolutely forbidden Holy Land, even the 4 emperors would never dare to invade. Where the hell is someone who dared to invade the Holy Land? Besides, we've been staring here all the time. If someone really invaded, how could there be no movement at all? Captain, did you make a mistake? ... The gatekeepers opened their mouths, and their faces were filled with extreme shock and disbelief. After all, the invasion of the Holy Land Mariajoy sounds too incredible. A bunch of idiots, all shut up. The captain of the guard let out a dignified voice. Has the Fishman-Fisher-Tiger invasion been forgotten 12 years ago? The other captain of the guard also spoke coldly. Hearing the name of Fishman-Fisher-Tiger, the originally noisy guards all held their breath unconsciously. For them, the freshman gatekeepers. Mariajoy event 36 years ago was too far away. The gatekeepers at that time did not die under Luo Lin's sword, but they are all dead now. Some of them died of natural causes, and some of them were executed in secret because they violated taboos because of drunken gaffes. No one knows about the appalling world that happened 36 years ago. But in addition to this, the Holy Land of Mariajoy suffered another, big invasion. Was the emancipation movement initiated by Fishman hero Fisher Tiger 12 years ago? Fishman Tiger, who climbed up the red soil continent with his bare hands, liberated more than a dozen black iron prisons outside the Holy Land, which shook the entire Mariajoy and even the world. At the time of the incident, the top government officials and some world nobles, Tenryubitos, were all furious. What followed was a top-to-bottom purge of the neglected gatekeepers. This group of them is almost all newcomers who were replaced after the cleaning. In particular, the 2 captains of the guards have witnessed the terrible punishments suffered by the seniors. Now, after 12 years, the crisis has come again. The challenge fell to them. If the events of 12 years ago are repeated, the tragedy will eventually fall on them. Tokikake Vice Admiral has already rushed over. With the strength of Vice Admiral, if there is an intruder, even if it cannot be arrested in a short time, it will be no problem to hold it back. During this time, the Marine headquarters and the support from all parts of the Holy Land will also be in place. At that time, no matter who will be able to escape, all we have to do is to guard this gate and ensure that no fish slip through the net. Do you understand? The 2 guard captains stopped drinking at the same time. Just when the voices of the 2 captains fell, the loud roar of boom suddenly exploded. Immediately after, the boom rumble sounded like the sky was sinking from the inside of the city more than 1,000 meters away. The terrifying shock that almost shook the entire Mariajoy, the expressions on people's faces turned pale. An emotion called fear instantly occupied their entire body. Really, something big is going to happen. At this moment, Holy Land Mariajoy is the most central. In a luxurious and sacred room, middle-aged man with golden hair shining brightly in the dark with pale golden light shone around his body suddenly opened his eyes. The blood in his body seemed to be pulled by some kind of force, resonating, rushing up and down like a waterfall. This is... There was a hint of excitement in the blond man's eyes. Shoo! Golden light flashed and disappeared. Chapter 615 The Marine Headquarters Shakes. Suru cried. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. The siren blared loudly. The red light representing the first level of alert flashes, on and off. Whoosh whoosh, the sound of breaking wind resounded one after another in the sky. It was one after another of marine powerhouses wearing justice cloaks. Under the leadership of Vice Admiral such as Yamakaji. Now the strong admiral schools in the marine headquarters are stepping up to the sky on the moon step, and they are running towards the Holy Land Mariajoy, right above the Red Earth continent for the first time. As the #1 institution under the world government, the meaning of Marine's existence is to serve the world government. The Marine headquarters and the first branch, the 2 most important core bases of Marine, are adjacent to the Red Earth continent, so that the Holy Land Mariajoy can provide immediate support when it is in need. "Ah la la, Mr. Sengoku, what's the big deal so late?" I'm just getting ready to go to bed. Office of the Marshal of the Headquarters Building. Admiral Kuzan yawned indifferently and pushed open the office door lazily. Kuzan, it's only 8:08 now. Besides, you don't do anything all day. You lie down and sleep all day. You should have enough sleep. Sengoku said angrily. Hey. Admiral Kuzan embarrassed Isho. Mr. Sengoku, let's get down to business now. This alarm is something wrong with Mariajoy. Kuzan guessed. Sengoku nodded. Just now, an intruder appeared in Mariajoy, and Tokikake, who is nearby, has taken the lead. You should also support the past. I hope nothing major happens. Marshal Sengoku's face was grave, and he spoke with concern. Another intruder. Admiral Kuzan was taken aback. After a while, Kuzan seemed to have thought of something, and his eyelids jumped suddenly. There was a strong sense of sight inside. Mr. Sengoku, you said this intruder would not be Mr. Roland. Admiral Kuzan took a deep breath and made this bold guess. Sengoku glanced at Kuzan, but it was this silence that made Kuzan more and more certain that Yuan and his thoughts should be the same. Mr. Sengoku, aren't you going to take a look? After a moment of silence, Admiral Kuzan couldn't help but speak. Sengoku remained silent. All of us have more or less met Mr. Roland. Mr. Sengoku, now it's only you. Are you really not going to meet? Admiral Kuzan said further. Kuzan. Finally, Sengoku spoke, and the words were full of majesty. Enough is enough. But, needless to say, you immediately support the Holy Land. This is a military order. Marshal Sengoku waved his hand. Yes. Admiral Kuzan nodded. Then disappeared in an instant. The temperature in the marshal's office gradually returned to normal. The silence lasted for a long while. Sengoku silently took out 2 phone bugs. After a while, the 2 phones were connected in no particular order. Sengoku, what's the matter? A lazy voice came from the phone bug on the left. PFF ha ha ha, isn't that Suru's voice? By the way, Suru, we've already heard about what happened a few days ago. That guy Roland is really shameless. Garp laughed. Fuck you, Garp, you're shameless, Roland that's. Suru lined up with Garp from a distance, resolutely defending his image as a man. The laning lasted about a minute. Garp and Suru both fell silent at the same time. Sengoku, why are you looking for us in the middle of the night? Why don't you talk? Garp asked in confusion. If it had been done before, Sengoku would have been furious when he heard them making such a fuss. Today, however, is an anomaly of silence. You're done? Sengoku asked back. Neither Garp nor Suru responded. Then it's my turn to speak. Sengoku paused, then continued. Roland is now at Mariajoy. As Sengoku's voice fell, the eyes of the 2 phone bugs opened wide. Represents the change in the expressions of Suru and Garp, who are thousands of miles away. After a moment of dead silence. Sengoku, are you telling the truth? Garp growled. Sengoku, must not let what happened 36 years ago is repeated. Please, this is my last request. Suru choked and whispered softly. She, who has always been strong and majestic, is now crying. Ah, I know, this time will never be repeated. Definitely. Sengoku spoke firmly. Chapter 616 Blonde Angel Gorose, 5 Elders, Lord Luo Lin, subscribe. Rumble rumble, like a thunderous roar, shaking the entire Holy Land Mariajoy. Everyone in the city can clearly hear and feel it. What's the matter with this voice? Where the hell is this bastard who is messing around? If this saint knows, he will never be spared. It's really unforgivable to disturb this saint's happy time. Guard, hurry up and catch me. The ancient city of Panchung, there has never been a violent beating, and the arrogant and domineering new generation Tenryubido have been clamoring for one after another. One by one, they called friends and brought their own guards and slave warriors to join in the fun. In comparison, Tenryubito in each Tenryubito family was silent at this moment. Feeling some kind of breath in the dark, their bodies trembled unconsciously. An involuntary revival of the horrific memories of 36 years ago in my mind. This feeling. No way. Is it really that devil? Has the devil from 36 years ago come again? How many people does he want to kill us this time? Hurry up and bring the family's idiots back. Don't let them get burned. Tenryubitos, who had been brutally beaten 36 years ago, shouted in horror. The two diametrically opposed attitudes made the ancient city of Panchung lively. At the same time the Holy Land Mariajoy is the most central. The roof of a grand building. 3 old men in suits and leather shoes stood against the wind, all looking at a place in the east of the city. Is it confirmed? The old star in the dark blue suit asked in a deep voice. It's almost certain, that guy actually came. He set foot on our home ground again. I really don't know what to do. Curly-haired Gorosei, 5 elders nodded sullenly. Okay, that's great. Don't be afraid of him coming, just be afraid that he won't come. The bald black suit Gorosei, 5 elders looks hideous. Since that's the case, then this time let him go back and forth. In the past 36 years, in order to prevent similar incidents from happening, we have made a lot of preparations. The previous fish man didn't work. This time it can finally work. That bastard, to be stupid and sent to the door again, is really inflated, but his move saves us a big deal. As long as he can be solved here, the rest of the so-called Wachung is nothing to be afraid of. 3 Gorosei, 5 elders glanced at each other, mouths arching confidently. Speaking of which, what about the idiots in the square? The old star with the bald head and black suit glanced at the conflict between the old and the new Tenryubito in the distant community, and asked casually. Those idiots will be for the time being. Besides, leaving them there to make trouble may have some unexpected effects. White-bearded long-haired star cruelly grins Isho. That's right, let them be the bait ones. It's best to lead that bastard into the city. In this way, our preparations are really foolproof. Now this distance may allow him to escape. The aristocratic curly-haired old star sneered. Not long after his voice fell. Shish, a white light flashed on the roof. Dressed in a white training suit, the samurai veteran star suddenly appeared. Brows furrowed. What's wrong? The 3 Gorosei, 5 elders who were complacent all groaned inwardly, giving birth to an ominous premonition. William is gone. The old warrior star said solemnly. What did you say? Gone. Could it be that? The 4 Gorosei, 5 elders on the roof all looked to the east. Then a look of anger appeared on the old face. At this moment, front gate battlefield of Holy Land Mariajoy. The huge pit, Admiral Chaton Tokikake, the candidate who had passed away, lay motionless. Although he passed out, his breathing was still steady and there was no danger of his life. Call. Sighed, Yamato wearing a prajna mask unconsciously hugged the lotus arm, and let out a long breath, but he couldn't express his inner uneasiness. Mr. Roland, I have a bad feeling. If I don't leave, there may be unimaginable troubles. Yamato frowned and looked at Luo Lin with an uneasy expression. Don't be afraid, big and little girl. Roland raised his big hand, landed on Yamato's hair, and touched it lightly. Under the comfort of Roland's head slaying, Yamato's inner unease was dispelled most of the time. However, the ominous premonition in the dark still did not retreat. The danger is still there. Here it is. Just as Yamato was distracted, Luo Lin suddenly gave a soft drink. Next second, a powerful aura came swiftly from the west, causing a terrifying explosion of air. After a while, accompanied by a loud bang, figure suddenly descended from the sky and landed in front of Luo Lin and the two of them, raising the dust all over the sky. Wow, there was a sudden gust of wind blowing away the dust in the sky. At the same time, the dark clouds scattered all over the sky. So, The moon in the sky is getting brighter. Shining on the 6 white angel wings, it is more holy and brighter. This person is. Seeing that angel, who suddenly appeared, Yamato couldn't help but turn pale. However, the following sentence from the blonde angel made Yamato's whole person even more shocked. Lord Roland, welcome. Chapter 617 6 Old Stars. Roland takes office as the world's highest power. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Crash, holy angel with 6 wings flapping. An unparalleled gust of wind roared by. Blew away the dust in the sky, and at the same time dissipated the dark clouds in the sky. Bright moon hangs high, illuminating the earth. This person is. When he saw the face of the person who came, the beautiful eyes under the mask of Yamato Prajna suddenly widened. This sacred gesture, that. The white 6-winged wing with mysterious power, as one of the witnesses of the Waesung event, how could Yamato not recognize it? The day of the big event. The 4 Emperors' alliance ended, and 2 attackers with unpredictable strength appeared again. One of them was responsible for holding down the hero Roland. The other person attacked Waesung directly, trying to destroy the foundation of the city. Yamato, who happened to be in the city at the time, witnessed the whole process. Angel who attacked Waesung, that day was the man who appeared in front of them now. Those 2 unfathomable mysterious powerhouses turned out to be members of the world government. So it really is because of that big unknown event 36 years ago. At the same time, her delicate body tightened unconsciously, ready to fight. Since this angel is here, it means that another person should be nearby. There is even a 3rd, 4th, and 5th person unknown. The world government with 800 years of history is indeed terrifying. Yamato was stunned. Just when Yamato secretly warned. The 6 wings behind the blonde angel Lao Xing who fell from the sky converged, returning to the usual middle-aged state with short golden hair. An expression called excitement gradually appeared on his resolute face. Yamato, who noticed this, was taken aback for a moment. Next moment. Something even more shocking happened to her. Lord Luo Lin, welcome to the Holy Land. Blonde Gorose, 5 elders smiled and bowed their right hand to their heart, as if welcoming an officer from afar. The girl who dragged the end of her voice fluttered in surprise. Looking at this unusual scene, Yamato's whole person was dumbfounded. Isn't this man with powerful phantom abilities the attacker of Waesung City? He should be the enemy of Roland, but what's going on right now? The angel, who should be the enemy, has such respect for Mr. Roland. Don't know how to use the honorific title, and even bow and salute. Could it be that this powerful and mysterious government powerhouse is actually Mr. Luo Lin's undercover agent in the government? Mr. Luo Lin, this. What the hell is going on? Yamato took a deep breath and finally couldn't help but ask. The details, I'll tell you later. Roland Vivi Isho. This trip to the Holy Land of Mariajoy is not just a moment for Roland. A week ago. At the time when Roland and Zephyr and others were intensively planning the war in the western North Blue Domain. During this period, Luo Lin once received a secret contact from Shichibukai Bartholomew Bear. In addition to, concerned about the current situation of his daughter Bonnie, the Big Bear also brought another news. Who was undergoing weapon modification and debugging at the marine genius scientist Vegapunk, accidentally saw the contact between government personnel and Vegapunk. This handover sample is a well-preserved soil. If it's just ordinary soil, naturally it doesn't need the government and Vegapunk to treat it so solemnly. After a day of research, Big Bear learned that the precious thing in the sample was not soil, but some kind of blood soaked in it. As a veteran cadre of the Revolutionary Army, the Big Bear has heard many legends about the mentor from the dragon's mouth. Among them is the blood of miracles like a god. So when he knew that the object of Vegapunk's research and analysis was blood, the Big Bear was keenly aware of the seriousness of the matter. So the first thing is to get in touch with Luo Lin and inform him of the situation. Roland heard about this from Big Bear's mouth. The first thing that came to his mind was his meeting with Sora outside Impel Down. At that time, the undead blood he gave Sora to use to prolong his life was crushed by Sora's hand. The blood in it was spilled on the ground and soaked into the slate floor. Now that I think about it, they should have been collected by the people of the world government after they left. A small portion was sent to Vegapunk for research. As for the others, as the owner of undead blood, Roland is of course qualified to know where his blood goes and where it is used. Who is poor enough to eat dirt? This is the biggest purpose of Roland's visit to Mariajoy. Now seeing the old blonde star appear, everything is clear. It's not as good as what he expected. If you want to use his blood to heal wounds, you have to pay some price. A blood for a Gorosei 5 Elders thug is a good deal. Even today, I took this opportunity to let this new fighter and Gorosei 5 Elders have a limit exchange, and from then on Gorosei 5 Elders became the 3 old stars. Just as Roland was thinking silently, sighed, the blonde angel Lao Sheng, who was standing silently like a servant, raised his head and stared at Luo Lin with piercing eyes. How? Roland raised an eyebrow. Lord Roland, if possible, I would like to invite you to become one of the new supreme powers in the world. Blonde Gorosei 5 Elders spoke solemnly. Roland. Chapter 618 Give up the Gorosei 5 Elders. Imes order. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Lord Roland, if possible, I would like to invite you to become the new supreme power in the world. The blonde Gorosei 5 Elders named William spoke earnestly. As his voice fell, the audience instantly fell into a state of absolute silence, and the beautiful eyes under the mask of Prajna further widened. The pretty face was full of incredible expressions. She just heard what the world's highest power. In this world, there are only 5 people who are qualified to be called the world's highest power 5. Could it be that this unfathomable mysterious government powerhouse in front of me is one of the Gorosei 5 Elders? A Gorosei 5 Elders invite Mr. Roland to become the new supreme power. Is Mr. Roland going to become the 6th greatest power in the world? Under the shock of this series of shocks, Yamato felt that his head was not enough, and it became a mess. At this moment, not only Yamato, but even Luo Lin himself was invited by the blonde old star William. He was still there, calculating, planning to get rid of 1 or 2 Gorosei 5 Elders. Let Gorosei 5 Elders become the 4 old stars, or even the 3 old stars. As a result, I never thought that the other party would invite him to become the 6th old star. Even Luo Lin can only say one word about this kind of development. He never expected it. However, when you think about it, it seems a bit interesting. It would be even more interesting if the other 444 old men were present. Thinking of this, the corner of Luo Lin's mouth unconsciously raised a radian. Lord Roland, you agreed. Blonde star William beamed with joy. Cough cough. Assuming that the other party is now my own person, Luo Lin will not directly face each other with swords. William, it doesn't matter if you say this alone. Besides you, there are 4 other people, and the one above you. Roland grinned. Please don't worry, in the end, only Lord Yimu can make a decision. Coincidentally, even if you are hostile, Lord Yimu has a high opinion of you, Lord Roland, and thinks that you are the only person in this world who is qualified to live with us forever. Man. The blonde old star said seriously. Oh, it's really an honor. Roland's eyes narrowed slightly. So as long as you nod your head, Lord Luo Lin, it will immediately crawl under your feet. There was even more hope on the face of the blonde star William. But this time. Wait, what Roland said. A thunderous roar suddenly sounded in the distance. Shut up, William. Do you know what you're talking about? It's really inexplicable. It's a shame to let this bastard be on an equal footing with me, but he is just a mortal. What qualifications does he have to be on an equal footing with me? 3 Gorosei 5 Elders resounded through the sky. William, You're not in a state where you can go out at will, go back quickly. The old warrior star said in a deep voice, the veins on his forehead jumping wildly. Considering your current state, I can pretend that I didn't hear the previous words. The curly-haired aristocrat Lao Xing suppressed his anger, exuding an aura that burst like a volcano. Sure enough, you shouldn't take shortcuts in the first place, this guy's blood is very ominous. The old star with bald head and black suit is murderous. Everyone, calm down. Maybe we have had many misunderstandings with Lord Luo Lin before, but it is not impossible to resolve. If you can't accept the name of the 6 old stars, I am willing to take the initiative to withdraw and give my position to Luo. Lord Lin. The blonde old star William spoke earnestly. There was a dead silence again. The air seemed to freeze for it. What the hell is going on this time? The influence of blood is much stronger than the previous time. Is it because of the second time? 3 Gorosei, 5 elders all stared, their faces full of shock and disbelief, and incredible. 36 years ago, after the Mariajoy event. 5 of them who were seriously injured by Roland had used the collected undead blood to heal their injuries. Although it was a little uncomfortable at the time, the sequelae period passed quickly. However, this time, the influence of the blonde old star is obviously much stronger than the previous time. It must have been over a week. It was still suppressed. At this rate, as the highest power in the world, wouldn't he really want to become the #1 thug under his nemesis Luo Lin, and it would be second for them to lose a powerful partner. If the world's highest power Gorosei, 5 elders are known to the outside world, they have become Roland's little horses. This is the biggest gaffe of their world government. It was the biggest scandal in the government's 800-year history. Never let this kind of thing happen. Samurai Lao Xing 3 looks ruthless and determined. Make up your mind. Even if you can't keep Luo Lin today, at least you have to keep your own family. Absolutely cannot let, he followed out, disgrace. Hee. Luo Lin, who read the voices of Samurai Lao Xing and others, couldn't help laughing isho. As a worthy adversary, the more Gorosei, 5 elders didn't want to happen, the more he wanted to do it. The momentum gradually rose. The situation suddenly became tense. Just when the 2 sides couldn't help but want to shoot. The 5th old star finally appeared. Stop everything, this is Lord Im's order. ... Chapter 619 Sengoku wants to forcibly invade the Holy Land Mariajoy. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Whoosh whoosh, there was a burst of wind breaking in the sky. One after another figure stepped on the atmosphere and streaked across the sky, behind him the righteous cloak squeaked in the wind. They are the senior generals of the Marine headquarters who have come to support from Marineford. Come on and stop. Just as the Marine powerhouses are about to cross the gates of Mariajoy. Near the main entrance of the Holy Land, a figure suddenly rose into the sky and stopped in front of the Marine generals. This is a middle-aged man with decades of vicissitudes in his eyes. The aura naturally exuded from the whole body caused all the Marine powerhouses to be subconsciously shocked. After all, this power is already far above Vice Admiral, not weaker than Admiral, the highest combat power of Marine headquarters. I'm Vice Admiral Yamakaji of the Marine headquarters. I received a call for help from Mariajoy and came here to help. Vice Admiral Yamakaji put away his usual squinting smile and spoke solemnly. Hey, what kind of face you have never seen before? Compared to Yamakaji's politeness, the hawkish Vice Admiral Onagumo is much more violent, and the words are full of gunpowder. We came here because of a call for help from Mariajoy and now they won't let us in, what does that mean? Vice Admiral Dalmesia questioned. If there are trespassers in the Holy Land of Mariajoy, let us in quickly. Vice Admiral Bastius urged. The determined middle-aged man was unmoved by that. Like a statue standing in front of the gate of the Holy Land. There is quite the spirit of a husband who is a man and a man who cannot be opened. To this, the Marine Vice Admirals are also helpless. After all, they can't really force their way into the Holy Land, right? That is the great sin of rebellion. Vice admirals wouldn't be happy if they just went back in a vague way, like being played like a monkey. Now that it's here, you have to know what's going on. Ah la la. At this moment, a lazy voice suddenly sounded from the sky above the red earth. Mr. Kuzan. Kuzan Admiral. Admiral is here. Mr. Kuzan, the people in the Holy Land didn't know what medicine they took to stop us, otherwise we would go in. ... Seeing Admiral Kuzan's appearance, he was at a loss at first, but the marine powerhouses were so happy and talkative. Admiral Kuzan, who learned the general situation from his subordinates, nodded. Vivi's state of laziness all over his body closed, he stepped forward, and looked at the determined middle-aged man guarding the goal. It's really a face I've never seen before. Admiral Kuzan opens. The Marine Admiral of this era. Seeing Kuzan's appearance, the persevering door god who only said one sentence from beginning to end finally spoke again, and then nodded in approval. Then can I ask you to let me go? Admiral Kuzan opens. This road is dead. The persevering door god man shook his head calmly. This is really a pity, if I was too lazy to go in before, but today I want to go in anyway. Admiral Kuzan takes a step forward. The freezing force of Kakaka, with an extremely cold aura spread out in an instant with Kuzan's feet as the center. Turn thousands of meters into a piece of ice and snow. The temperature plummeted by dozens of degrees. However, even so, the persevering door god man still had no intention of giving in at all. Wait. Kuzan Admiral, wait. Just then, two government officials in suits and leather trotted hurriedly with a soldier in armor. Kuzan Admiral, and everyone at Marine, it's over. I am really sorry, and I'm sorry to bother you all for a hard trip. Something did happen in the Holy Land, but it's not a big deal. We have already solved it by ourselves, so we don't need to bother everyone in Marine anymore. The two government officials explained with a smile while wiping the cold sweat from their foreheads. At the end, Chi-Chi pushed the goalkeeper captain beside him again. I am really sorry, Kuzan Admiral and Marine's officers, all of them are our negligence. There is no intruder in Mariajoy, it's all caused by our misjudgment. I am really sorry. Following the instructions of the two government officials, the distraught captain of the gate bowed and sincerely apologized to the Marines. What? That's what it is. It would be better if nothing happened. Forget it this time, and it won't work next time. The Marine rear admirals who came with them spoke generously. The vice admirals such as Yamakaji and Dalmisia were still silent, their brows were still furrowed, and their intuition told them that things were not so simple. Ah la la. Admiral Kuzan sighed softly. From the two government officials and the captain of the guard in front of him did not reassure Kuzan. On the contrary, the ominous premonition in his heart became stronger. Right now, inside this holy city, something really big is happening. Admiral Kuzan's eyes fell on the man of perseverance. The government is determined not to let them in. Furthermore, if you forcefully invade, you will be labeled as a rebel. Just when Admiral Kuzan was in a dilemma, the clear footsteps sounded again on the bluestone road in front of the Holy Land Gate, attracting everyone's attention. Marshal Sengoku. Mr. Sengoku. Marshal, why are you here? When they saw Sengoku appearing, expressions of excitement appeared on the faces of the marine powerhouses. Kuzan, leave it to me next. Chapter 620 Justice Reigns in the World. Sengoku's Conqueror. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. The main entrance of the Holy Land Mariajoy. Noisy and noisy. That's probably the case, everyone at Marine. I'm terribly sorry for making you go all the way in vain, it's really hard work. The previous alarm was a little exaggerated, and the situation has been completely controlled. Please everyone in Marine, please go back first. This is also the meaning of the upper management. Government officials dressed in black suits and dressed like dog eyes opened their mouths with smiles and made a gesture of asking back. After listening to their explanations, the Rear Admiral and the marine powerhouses below who were supported by the headquarters were all in an uproar, but they didn't think too much. After all, at their current level, all they have to do is obey the orders of their superiors. To go or stay depends on Vice Admiral and what Admiral Kuzan means. They just need to follow silently. After a moment of hustle and bustle, the room gradually quieted down. Marine's Rear Admirals are all Vice Admirals looking forward. Vice Admiral Yamakaji, Dalmisia and others were silent. The eyes that looked at the government officials and behind the gate of the Holy Land were full of suspicion. How could there be a false alarm about the presence of an intruder in Mariajoy since the Fishman hero Fisher Tiger attacked Mariajoy 12 years ago? The defense alert of the Holy Land has been linked to the Marine headquarters. You don't even need someone to contact the notification. When the internal vibration of Mariajoy is severe enough, it can trigger the warning of Marine headquarters. The magnitude of the vibrations previously observed in this department is far beyond the critical point. Not to the extent that ordinary Tenryubido slaves fight each other. Besides, if it's really nothing serious, why should the government send that mysterious powerhouse that I haven't seen before to guard the gate? Sure enough, something big is happening right now in this holy place of Mariajoy. Don't let big things known to outsiders. Vice Admiral Yamakaji, Dalmisia and others looked at each other and came to the same conclusion. Compared to Yamakaji et al., what Admiral Kuzan knew was more. When I saw that the world government was so tireless to block them in front of the door, he even tried to trick them into going back with lies. Kuzan knew that the man who was in the Holy Land right now, the man who invaded Mariajoy 80% was. Mr. Roland didn't run away. And only Mr. Roland deserves such attention from the highest powers in this world. But this time Gorosei, 5 elders even sent a mysterious combat force of the same level as him in order to block them. What did they want to do? Did they want to secretly bury Mr. Roland once again as they did 36 years ago? How can a hero suffer such a tragic ending twice? If Mr. Roland disappears again, absolutely can't let this kind of thing happen again. Admiral Kuzan's always lazy eyes gradually firmed. Mr. Garp, Mrs. Crane, Mr. Zephyr, Solino and Guillaume, Sol and so on, they are all absent. He is the only one now. Even so, something must be done. Even if it is the name of the rebellion who forcibly invaded the Holy Land. The astonishing cold air was released from Admiral Kuzan's body, causing the temperature in the radius of 1,000 meters to drop by more than tens of degrees. Feeling the infiltrating extremely cold breath, the two government officials couldn't help but froze into dogs, shivering uncontrollably. Kuzan, you are. Do you really want to do it? Don't be impulsive, Kuzan. What the hell is going on inside Kuzan? Do you know anything? Vice Admiral Yamakaji and others were also shocked. Boom! At this moment, a sound of heavy footsteps suddenly sounded from behind the almost frozen people. Marshal Sengoku. As the first cry of surprise fell, the uproar in the field resumed. Marshal Sengoku, didn't you just say you were going to hand it over to us? Why did you come in person again? Mr. Sengoku, are you here too? Those from the previous government said. Marshal. The appearance of Marshal Sengoku made the blood of all the marine powerhouses boil, and even the extreme cold around them was melted by their enthusiasm. Mr. Sengoku, you are still here. Admiral Kuzan Iceberg's face also flashed with joy. Sengoku calmly nodded to the crowd. I probably already understand the situation, then leave it to me, you all go back first. Sengoku spoke softly. Alas. All the Marines couldn't help but scream in surprise. Hey, it's really reassuring to have Marshal Sengoku here. If that's the case, then everyone in Marine should go back to sleep quickly. The two government officials who were frozen into dogs spoke shiveringly, with a reluctant smile on their faces. But the next moment, The smiles on their faces were completely frozen together with their bodies. Under the shroud of the extreme cold air, they almost turned into two ice sculptures, only their teeth remained, trembling frantically. Mr. Sengoku, it's really coming. Admiral Kuzan grinned. Sengoku nodded firmly. At this moment, he is not a marine, just an old man who wants to help his friends. Maybe after today, he will no longer be Marine's commander, and even become Impel Down's prisoner. But some things have to be done. You miss it this time, you will regret it for the rest of your life. In that case, Mr. Sengoku, let me clear the way for you. Admiral Kuzan VV Isho. Boom, the deepest extreme ice cold rushing out from Kuzan's body. In an instant, it turned the stalwart man like a door god into an ice sculpture. Admiral Kuzan, Marshal Sengoku, you guys. Aware of Kuzan's intentions, both government officials looked horrified. However, before they could finish speaking, the next moment, boom, the surging conqueror haki exploded from Marshal Sengoku's body. It swept away in the direction of the main gate of the Holy Land Mariajoy, domineering and boundless, like a king on a tour. This is exactly Sengoku's conqueror. This is the justice of Sengoku, the justice that reigns in the world,